Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jurgen Damm, and you are watching Scarves and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
It's the Scarves and Spikes match review podcast, which we look back at Atlanta United's 1-1 draw against Nashville SC at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Cindy, Tyler, Tommy with you as we look back again at not a loss, but a draw. Still not what we're looking for from Atlanta United, but one word, guys, to describe the match against Nashville SC. Tyler, we'll start with you. Just one word. I can see the wheels turning in your head as you think about it.
Mediocre.
Tommy, one word to describe Atlanta United's draw against Nashville SC.
Meh.
My one word
yours has to be an M word.
Mine is disappointing. Like I said, not a loss, but still a draw and not a win. At this stage of the season, it's 11 matches in, right? So the season's just starting, essentially. But it's at the point of the season where it's 3 points or bust, really, the rest of the way. You're not giving yourself a lot of leeway, a lot of room to make further mistakes. And I think after they score that goal against Nashville, things kind of shut down. And I don't know if they're just trying to see the match out or we're afraid that they'd let in 7 goals like Chicago did. But Tyler, you were there, and Tommy, I'm sure you're watching at home. Seems like the air just let out the balloon, and Atlanta United couldn't get that second goal in.
It is
disappointing to me.
It is mind-numbing how this team just and you know, we asked Ronnie Dyla about it yesterday because that was the main point of the match. Like, that was the story, right? Was Atlanta United goes and they play some of the, I don't want to say best, but I mean, honestly, it is some of the best, which is not to say great soccer that they've had this entire season. You have Miggy at the 10, right? Saba's on the right-hand side. Like, they come out, they're energetic. Miggy is progressing the ball. He scores the goal. And then it's just like, literally, the moment the goal is scored, Miggy's out there hyping everybody up, getting everybody going. The fans are getting into it. They kick off the ball, and it's like everything just changes.
The rest of the team didn't get pumped up.
What's that?
The rest of the team didn't get pumped
right. Like, everybody else just kind of fell flat. And it's I don't understand. And Dyla said yesterday, like, he was like, I don't know if it's he said it's not a motivation thing. He said I don't know if it's physical, don't know if it's mental, but we got to figure it out. And
how do you not know? How do you not know at this time?
That's true. That's true.
Like, we've talked about the exhaustion point of the season. Like, early in the year, is this team exhausted? Because they looked exhausted at the end of games. But now you kind of come back. You haven't said it in a while. Ronnie hasn't said it in a while. And then he says, I don't know if it's mentally, physically. How do you not know at this point? Because he said specifically they have worked on both of those things.
No, yeah, and the kind of what's the standout quote? I mean, as a coach, you're supposed to be able to draw that out of the team, whatever it is that happened. But guys, it's just a pattern that we've seen from this team time and time again. You can't point to one game, and Dyla said it. You can't point to one single game where a team that's put together a 90-minute effort. And with 11 matches in, going to 12 matches against Chicago coming up, that's worrying. That's very worrying how you still can't play 90 minutes of football on a given week. I mean,
well, I will say, I mean, if you want to take the glass half full mindset in this one, it's better than the last 3 games that you played. You're going back in the right direction, maybe. I mean, But it is kind of crazy. And, one of the things that Dyla said that they worked on this week was essentially, he didn't use these words, but essentially like team building, team bonding, chemistry building, whatever type stuff. And again, in the first 35 minutes or so, you saw like the team, there wasn't a full lack of cohesion like you saw in the past 3 matches, right? Like up in Philly and Orlando, they looked lost. They looked like 11 guys out on the pitch that had never played a game together. And you didn't have that for at least most of the first half. But the fact that you had such a good first, whatever it was, the goal was 20 minutes in, and it was shortly after that things dropped off.
25 minutes.
You had that. And then you let Nashville do whatever they wanted to do. If you look at we've all seen the second half stats, but overall, Atlanta had 37% possession at home in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, had less than one expected goal to Nashville's 1.45.
Yeah.
That's not good enough.
Pineda is crying somewhere when he saw those possession numbers. He was like, I'm glad I laughed. Absolutely. But here's a problem that's different than what we've had before, because we've complained about last season. It was this team took so long to start being good, right? It was kind of like the New England game where, we started off pretty good against New England for like 10 minutes. And then when that goal was disallowed, it was all New England, basically the rest until like the last 15 minutes. This team does not have, besides that New York game, this team does not have a second half in them to save their lives. It's a new problem. This team can't finish, because we would always say last year, it was like, oh, it's the 75th minute. Here comes Atlanta United to try to draw the game or win it. It's the exact opposite right now. There is no second half Atlanta United.
And again, that's on Dyla to figure out why that is. I mean, again, you're 11 matches in, you still can't put together 90 minutes of good, solid football. That the first 20, 25 minutes was as good as I've seen Atlanta United play this season in the opening half. But then
was it though?
Well, not this season, but in a while.
I was going to say these two road games have they've hurt us all mentally. So
yeah.
It's given us amnesia to when the team actually looked good there for the first month and a half.
Right. So I meant as good as they've looked in the while in the first half, not all season, but yeah, it seemed like that second goal could have been coming, and I think if they had scored that second goal, that would have been a tremendous boost to the team, but it never came. And obviously, Nashville scored in the second half to make it 1-1. That's the final. Good news is you led in 7 goals. Bad news is you, again, couldn't get 3 points. And now you have 2 matches against Chicago and Austin coming up, followed by 3 home matches that I feel like are probably the most pivotal matches of the season for this team coming up, this stretch coming up here before the road trip.
You know what really bothers me, I think, the most about this is because if you look at the way that Atlanta's played, there's some recency bias in it for sure in terms of saying this is, the best they played, but it's up there, right? And it's not saying much, which is the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
And I kind of went off on this thing on Spaces yesterday before we had technical difficulties, but it bothers me that this team appears to be unable to even begin to know how to control the tempo in a match. It's one thing being away, right? You're away from home. Typically, the home team is going to be the one that dictates tempo. Unless a goal is scored, then that changes everything. But in this game, you had something that you hadn't had in a long time. You had a lead.
A goal.
And you had a lead at home and a goal, yeah. So for you to score this goal and then kind of get stuck in this weird purgatory of not knowing whether to really go and push hard for that second or slow everything down and make Nashville come to you, tire them out, and then play through them, bugs me. The whole team has to be bought into that concept. Whatever you're going to do, you got to do it. You got to make a decision and stick with it.
Well,
And they didn't do that.
whose job is that though? Whose job is that
It's
though?
I mean, it starts at the back. It starts with Brad. Then it's the center. Because I did ask Ronnie Dyla this. I forget what game it was after, but it may have been the
They all run
New England
together
game.
at this point.
Yeah, they really are. But I asked him, I was like, do you feel that the team does well controlling the tempo? And he said, yeah, I do. But then he kind of went into the kind of detail about how, the center backs, it's their job. The midfielders, it's their job. And it was around the time when Tristan Miyamba was kind of having a little bit of a resurgence. Yeah. But then you go to this match and you score the goal, right? And then the first goal kick that happens after Atlanta scores, the first Atlanta goal kick, Brad has the ball. And I'm like, all right, well, he's slowing things down. But then he sends everybody forward. He bombs a long ball into the middle of everybody. And what happens? Atlanta can't win the ball back. It immediately gets turned over. Nashville starts pressuring. They start gaining some confidence. They start gaining some momentum. And at some point, I'm thinking like, all right, well, maybe at some point, like they'll really, really make that decision to when they receive possession, they're going to recycle it. Then they can draw Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge in, tire them out, and then start to really play through them. That never happens. They just continue to bomb the ball long time after time, and nobody's winning aerial duels. Nobody's winning the second ball. And then you allow Nashville to come back into this game. You gave them the momentum back. You had it. You had a lead at home. At that point, you have to take control of the game. It's yours. And they just never really made a decision on what they wanted to do.
Are they playing not to lose, you think?
That's what it felt like. That's exactly what it felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, it genuinely felt like, all right, well, we got a goal now. And I forget who said it. It may have been you or may have been Henry. Somebody said it last night, but it was like, they got the goal, they got the lead, and then they just hugged it so tight, like they squeezed the breath out of it and killed it.
Yeah.
But it's wild. Like you have to have a plan for that.
Yeah.
Exactly. You need a plan. How is it? Either there was a plan, maybe that was the plan, get up 1-0 and just hope that you can win this game 1-0, which I highly doubt was the plan. Or was there a plan and nobody bought into it? Because after the goal happened and Nashville took over, you came out of the second half just as flat as you left it, if not worse. I mean, that game, if you really want to be honest, it should have been a loss. There were many opportunities that Nashville had that they just couldn't score. Atlanta was very lucky to come away with that game at one point.
Yeah. Dyla said it himself. Atlanta did deserve to win the game because of the very reason you said, Tommy. Nashville had those chances in the second half, and and Tyler said it, they had the edge on the XGs. Obviously, XGs aren't actual goals, but you're maybe a bit fortunate to come out with a draw. But again, I go back to, why is the effort still a question after 11 matches? Why are we still having these discussions? And I said it on our Patreon channel this past week. It falls on everybody. It falls on Ronnie Dyla. It falls on the players. It certainly falls on the front office. It's not just one person. It's not just a couple of people. It's a full, multifaceted thing that everyone has to be pedaling in the same direction. Right now, through 11 matches, I don't see it. It's just very frustrating at this point. The fans are frustrated. I'm sure the players are frustrated. I feel like the players feel like they're just treading water at this point, just waiting until the summer for something to happen, because obviously you can't add to your team because of their transfer window. So hopefully, maybe you go on a stretch. Maybe you go on a good stretch. Chicago will be without Chris Brady. He got shown a red card on Saturday. So hopefully you can take advantage of that and maybe come out of Chicago with a win. And
stupid Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't even win the game.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, Chicago, 8 shots and couldn't put anything past Pedro Gallese, which says a lot about Orlando, playing with 11 men to Chicago's 10. But anyway, you're without Chris Brady, you're without your starting keeper. Chicago is. Maybe that's sort of the boost you need if you're in Atlanta, to maybe take advantage of that, exploit that, and get a win at a place that's really not been great for you in the past. Some weird matches at Soldier Field, and really at their previous place at Bridgeview too.
We went up against a backup of Rocco's Rios Novos, and we know how that went.
Yeah.
How things have changed.
Yeah.
You know, it almost feels like this team has been trying so hard to dig themselves out of this hole that they didn't have time to prepare for anything else. That's just kind of the way that this game went. And then you kind of go back to like the Philly game, right? Because we're talking about red cards, and you're up a man and you still get dunked on. And then it kind of feels like, well, have you been able to do any of these kind of like, red card 11v10 type drills? Like these moments that you have to kind of have in your back pocket for when the moment arises. And admittedly, you're not going to be doing, red card drills as often as you are, controlling the game tempo kind of based drills, but controlling the game is a mindset. Controlling the game at home is a privilege. And you're in that position. I mean, how many times have we said for so long, if Atlanta can get the first goal, that's when they can open the game up. And it feels like such a missed opportunity because you have this attack that's there. They're ready. Inside the bins, when you go up a goal, the other team has to chase. You do what you can to make them chase, make them tired. But then like the moments when they would try to hit on a counter, it was like nobody knew. We went back to nobody knowing where anybody was going to be, right? Like you have two guys up top who they're ready. They want to run. Latte Loth and Miggy, they want to run.
Yeah.
But then when you're sitting back kind of having to defend in those moments, nobody is turning and looking up the field to try to find either one of those guys. I get totally just bombing the ball when you're pushed back and you're under a lot of pressure. Absolutely do that. But when you have a moment to pick your head up, you should know chemistry should tell you where Miggy's probably going to be and where Latte Loth's probably going to be. Well, you should be trying to place the ball. Then let him go fight for it.
Well, I mean, let's talk about Miguel Marone. I mean, he did. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. He's a centerpiece of your attack. But at the end of the day, he didn't create any chances. He scored. Yes. Maybe an accidental goal on the part
that is
of
the dumbest stat ever.
Well, it is what it is at this point. But yeah, he scored. But where's the chance creation? Where's that chemistry with Latte Lot? So let's definitely make sure we're judging Miguel Marone on the same wavelength that we're judging the other players. Like he's not. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, absolutely, because if you're judging him based on being a number 10, goal scored is a very important one.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're an attacking midfielder, you got to score. Chances are one of those stats that we can sit here and try to define it all day. Websites will try to define it all day. But like a goal is a stat that's it's a very hard stat, right? Like it works. It's something you can measure. Assist is something you can measure. But the way that the ball was progressed in the first 25 minutes yesterday with Miggy at the 10 was far more direct and far better than it's been all season, while Alexei Miranchuk was the number 10. Now, was he perfect? Not even kind of. Like there's still a lot of work to be done. But you were all over Nashville in that first 25 minutes. And I think that's what's so frustrating about it is because if you don't change anything, the game probably still goes your way. But it's like that moment, something flipped and everybody was like, well, we're just going to not play that game anymore. And we're also not going to know what we want to do. And if getting Miggy on the ball, which was the plan in the first 25 minutes, was your plan, then continue to make it happen. But it's like the entire front four just dipped out of the game at that point.
And go ahead, Tommy. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say in transition, I mean, they did look good early on, and there was a comment. I didn't see who it was, but I thought Almiron did look exhausted, or late in the first half. I mean, I think he got his neck bumped a little bit there. He was holding onto his neck at one point, but he did look very exhausted. And Obviously that's a little bit more running that you got to do in the center there, but still it did look better, like watching it there for that first 20 some minutes. It looked like an Atlanta United team that knew what they were doing. It looked like that they had a plan to attack. They looked competent, which we can't say for 2 weeks that it looked like a soccer team. It looked decent, but if he can't do it for 70 minutes, then that's obviously a problem.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this: Miguel at the 10, Alexi at the 8, which is what we've been talking about for a while. We talked about a little bit about Miggy. How did Miranchuk look to you guys?
I mean, I think he still looked shaky.
Yeah.
No, let me rephrase that. He still made a few mistakes that luckily Atlanta didn't get punished on. But I feel like he was able to get on the ball more, again, especially in that first 25 minutes when the team was playing well. So yeah, was he mistake free? No, but I feel like he got more involved in the game. He was able to work alongside, especially on that right-hand side a little bit more, which left Miggy that wide open kind of central and left side to really, really operate in. I mean, right now, this is to me still the better of the variety of options that you've seen trotted out there 11 weeks in. I mean, at least you got something out of this. And you want your DPs on the ball, right? Like whether they're playing as a 8, 6, 10, left, right, whatever. And in this one, when the team was kind of operating the way we all thought they were going to operate, he was on the ball a fair amount, and it allowed space for everybody else. That's what you want him there for.
Henry and I talked about it during our 3 takeaway segment last night after the match, and that's on YouTube if you want to watch it, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeart. We talked about, Miranchuk seems like he gets in his head a little bit, and and that goes back to mentality. That's something that you don't want from your DP. You're paying him a lot of money. You're expecting a lot of things from him, but the first full test of him as a number 8 didn't go great. I mean, it was a little better, but yeah, like you said, just some mistakes, just some poorly placed balls that erased attacks. It's just so frustrating with Alexi. Like, you put him at the 10, it's not working. You put it at the 8. It's not to say it's not going to work with him at the 8. At least you're trying something, but Alexi has to rise to the occasion. We've talked about it so many times on this show and on past shows. Like, this is a DP. You need your DPs to be clicking for you. If your DPs aren't clicking for you, you're not going to win a lot of football matches. He hasn't clicked at all, really. Let's come to Atlanta.
I don't think he's here by the start of next season. I feel like you're going to have to make a change. I mean, I don't see things turning around where this team is all of a sudden going to become an MLS contender. But I think at some point you're going to have to make a bold decision on this roster. And maybe it's not even bold. Maybe it's just a sensible change on what you're going to do going forward. And unfortunately, I mean, the speed's not there. In MLS, you need some speed. It's not really that. I mean, if they continue to roll this lineup out to see if it can improve, and I guess I don't really understand the tweet that Doug put out. Like, they can't play this formation again. I don't remember exactly what he said in the tweet. But if you try this again and it continues to not work, you are going to have to make a change. And I'm sorry, Latte Lath is not going anywhere. He's not you just invested a league record in him. He's not going anywhere. Miguel Almiron is the club legend. When you brought him back, there was no like, oh, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to move on from him in a year, even the year, because like a lot of, people's emotions are very tied to him. So you can't do that. And it just all comes down to, it makes sense that if you can get out of the Miranchuk contract any way that you can, whether a team comes calling, I don't think you still do. I mean, hopefully you don't have to use a buyout for it, but whatever it is, I just don't see him with this team next year.
Maybe you loan him out to a European club. You have that
But does that
capability to
free
do
up
that.
that DP spot though? Like I've heard the loan thing before, but I guess it
It
depends
doesn't,
on if
but
they pick up the money, correct?
yeah, it doesn't open up a DP slot. I mean, he'll still be take out that spot on the roster, but
Yeah,
going
then
to
you
your
don't do that. You sell them. You got to sell them.
yeah, that seems like the best option. Going to your point about buying him out, I don't think you buy him out. That's just a bad look to buy out a designated player because that just gives you and paints you in a poor light if you're Atlanta United's front office. So I think your best option is to sell him. You have to find a willing partner. I think you'll have no shortage of willing partners. So you sell him back to Italy. Maybe you sell him to the Russian Premier League. Maybe there's a club looking to bring him back there. But it goes back to what I've said numerous times about DPs. Some get it. Some get it as soon as they come in. And for the most part, Latte Lot has gotten it. Sure, he's not scored the past couple matches, save Orlando because he didn't play. But some DPs, it takes a while to get their feet underneath them. For Alexi, it's just nothing's happening. Nothing's clicking. And hate to make him a scapegoat, but again, you're a DP. You're making a lot of money. You're one of the highest paid players on the team, and you're still not performing any better than, let's say, a TAM or lower TAM player. And it's not good enough. And I agree, Tommy. Atlanta United are going to have to make a decision on Alexi Miranchuk this summer.
I think in the meantime,
it might not. Sorry, Tyler. It might not be this summer. It might not. Like you might wait until the end of the season to see. But with obviously the transfer windows and everything, and the seasons, it might be the perfect time to move him in the summer. You're right, Sydney.
I kind of posted this in our Discord earlier, just kind of thinking out loud. But Alexei Miranchuk is he's a different type of person, and I say person, not player, because your typical athlete is pretty headstrong, pretty outwardly confident, and I'm not saying like an egomaniac or anything, but the type of athletic personality that you have in professional sports.
Right.
Alexei Miranchuk is not that kind of guy. And I don't mean this in any negative way. He's just a very introverted dude.
Yeah.
And part of being a coach and part of being, leaders in the locker room is figuring out how to motivate everybody there. And it almost feels to me like they haven't quite figured out how to give him that extra motivation. Because again, I'm not going to sit here and question the players' motivations. That's their thing. Ronnie Daly even said yesterday, it's not a motivation problem. But the type of personality, not to get like psychological here, but the type of personality that Alexei Miranchuk has is he's very introverted. He's very to himself. He strikes me in the little bit that I've talked to him, and from what I've heard, from folks that have talked to him a lot more in the past and everything, that are closer to him, like he's just the type of guy he's gonna withdraw. He's always gonna be to himself. And that's not to say he's just shy and gonna stay away from his teammates and that kind of stuff. But you have to know how to motivate that type of player, and it's gonna require a very specific something, a very specific talking to. And it's not like one of those stern, like, you need to do better, Alexei. Like, that's not what's going to get through to him.
Well, it's been here how long and nobody's unlocked it yet. So.
I know. And I understand that. And that's the thing. And I'm not making excuses for the guy at all. I'm just saying, like, I think, if it's going to happen, it's going to require that moment where somebody has a chat with him. He has a moment where he just realizes, like, what I'm doing right now isn't working, but I have the opportunity here to be the guy at this club. And if you do well and make Atlanta do well, honestly, the sky's the limit as to where you could go. But when the team is playing like they're playing right now, you're going to struggle to get rid of anybody, and from a personal standpoint, if you're a player wanting to make the move back over to Europe or to Europe for the first time or wherever you want to go, you got to look good. And to do that, the team has to look good, especially when you're a number 10. You are going to be the one that's going to make the team look good or make the team look really bad.
But again, like, if he hasn't got it to this point, Tyler, when is he going to get it? When is that going to happen?
It's a problem.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you are going to have to do something to fix this roster. Again, the summer or the winter, you are going to have to. And when you have limitations of what you do with the salary of MLS, there's 3 big guys, and this guy hasn't produced much. I know Almiron hasn't done a lot with this team so far, but again, you're not moving on from those 2.
No.
Unfortunately, that's the guy, and I know the fans are divided. I mean, I was hoping that this would work with him. It just doesn't seem like it's getting better here. But I mean, some of it might not also be his fault because it's just the way this roster's lined up right now, and just how everything's just not fitting together well. But unfortunately, there's going to be some casualties in this roster in the next year.
So
9 months.
Just real quick. Who do you sell? I mean, you already talked Miranchuk, but if you sell anybody else, who is it? And then who do you bring in?
Well, I see in the comments someone saying, you got to get rid of all 4 of your DPs, and I assume he's talking about Click. I think it's his last year of his contract anyways, so, not moving on. I mean, as far as anyone signed long-term, I don't know. I mean, the one thing that we've talked about is players getting injured, and I know that Ronnie talked about that 2 weeks ago, I think, about, trying to keep players healthy. If Gregerson can't stay healthy, then maybe that's a move that you make because they're talking about you need to be able to stay on the field. He's been one of those problems.
Yeah.
I mean, Slish has just been okay. He's another one that has been underwhelming here. But again, you need to find buyers for these players as well. And that's not always the easy part. Like when they came calling for Pity Martinez, I think all of our mouths dropped because it was like, are you watching his South America Player of the Year award season? Or are you watching the Atlanta United season?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the hard part is you need to find a buyer in the market, and that's just not always easy.
Right, and here's the thing too, and because I see Omar asking like, why are we bagging on Alexi when Miggy and Latte Life aren't doing well either? And
to just got here.
Well, and to piggyback on like what Tommy was saying too, the thing is like, yes, they just got here. The amount of money that you spent on them, absolutely, but when you look at it from the window of just Atlanta United, you look at Pity, right? Pity was brought in to fit the 2018 system and got the 2019 system, and it didn't quite fit, but he still did things and he still made them work.
Yeah.
He still became a player that contributed pretty well to that 2019 team. Now he had Joseph up top. All right. So he had that going for him. He had things like that. Alexi is not a bad soccer player. He's not, but the system that he's in right now, we all thought it would work. We all thought putting the Miggy, the Latte Lot, the Saba around him to where all he had to do was pick out those guys, find them, and then they were going to go do the rest of it. It made sense, but it's not working right now. And at the end of the day, Alexi could go to whatever, name your soccer team here. And if the coach can have the right system in place and the right guys around him that are going to fit him, then yeah, I mean, he'll probably jump right back into it and his numbers will probably shoot up and he'll probably look like a more contributing member of the team. But the way that this team is right now, for whatever reason, we can sit here and try to come up with exactly what it is. It's just not fitting him. And you have tons of speedy guys around him and he's kind of the odd man out in that sense.
I'll ask this. Is it not fitting him or is he not fitting it? You know what I mean?
Is he not
kind of chicken egg kind of thing,
I just wonder if his lack of speed just hurts him in MLS in general.
That's what I'm getting at. Is he an MLS quality player? I mean, MLS is a unique league for more reasons than one. Well, he's not shown it. He's not shown it, but
no, I know, but I mean, I maybe it sounds worse than what it, because I know you're not just dogging him in general, but I feel like it's just he's just not meant for MLS. Maybe that's the nicer way of saying it. It's just
No, totally,
and
totally.
there's some players that just aren't physical enough for MLS too, right? You see a lot of players that come in and just like this. I mean, look at Pity Martinez coming in that first like half a season. The guy's getting thrown down left and right, looking at the refs, and they're just like, "Get up, dude. We're not calling that."
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's my point. Like, is he cut out for MLS? And is it whose fault is that? Is it Garth Lagerwey's fault? Is it the international recruitment team's fault? Whose fault is it for bringing him in? You know,
Boca.
Again,
blame Boca for it.
I mean, is it Boca Negra's fault? I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? And you sold a bill of goods, and you're hoping that a player can adjust to MLS. But again, it takes some players longer than others to adjust. Some guys get it right off hand. Some guys take longer. For whatever reason, it's taking Alexi longer. Is it just he's a late bloomer, or is it just he's just not cut out for the league? And I think that's the conversation we have to have. I think that's why I'm saying, hey, if you can find a price, everyone has a price, right? You can find a willing buyer, sell him in the summer. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck, but you can't have a player take up a DP slot that's not performing the way you need him to perform.
I think
if
I could change one thing or edit one thing about Alexi's game, it would just be
that you're going to say change the transfer rule so we're not handcuffed every single year.
Oh, that
as a league.
That'd be nice. But no, I mean, I think, and this is going to sound maybe counterintuitive, but I feel like sometimes he's a little too quick to let go of the ball. I think I would like to see him, I go back to the psychological conversation I was just having, but I would like to see him a little more confident on the ball, just in general, in possession, because he can make the passes, right? Like the ideas that he has, what he's looking for, it makes sense. It's just the execution hasn't been there.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking him to go out and be an Almada or even a Marcelino Moreno and dribble around everybody, because I started thinking of Moreno when y'all were just having that conversation, because we talking about speed. Moreno was one of the slowest guys ever. And I love Marcelino Moreno. Y'all know that dude was slow, but he was a dribbly boy and he could get around everybody. But that was, I put the tweet out way back at the beginning of the season. I was like, man, Alexi Miranchuk is getting all the crap, or hasn't quite got all the crap that Marcelino Moreno was getting dogged for back in the day. But the thing about Moreno is he could at least still, get around guys, break lines by his dribbling. Well, the problem is now Alexi, for all that he's been hyped up to be as far as his passing is concerned, to break those lines and put the ball in, the through ball, let Latte Loth run, let Miggy run, all that kind of stuff. He just hasn't executed it at all. So no, and no, Omar, we don't want to hate on Alexi. This is not just us.
Yeah.
This is everybody that watches this team.
MLS announcer in the world.
Right. Like every MLS announcer we had on for a month and a half, we said nothing about Alexi Miranchuk, and we would ask, like, what's going on with Atlanta? And their first thing they would say would be Alexi Miranchuk. It's not like I want the dude to succeed. I've talked to the guy in person. I've met the guy. We he's a nice dude.
But nice guys don't always finish first.
It's not working right now.
I mean, if all nice guys were cut out for MLS, I mean, we would be sitting here having this conversation.
Well, I get it, and I understand. It does seem like he's taking a lot of the blame for this, and a lot of it's been because of Miguel Almiron. Constantly saying he wants to play his position. And no matter what happens, Almiron. But I think we've had fair criticism with Almiron as well.
Yeah.
Especially saying that he can't stay in the position that he's supposed to be playing. I mean, he's got the Nintendo Switch drift on his controller right now. He's just constantly moving over to the left, and it's a problem overall here. I do want to say. Maybe we start moving to some of the positives here, but I would just like to say one real positive here was Fortune. I thought that he was fantastic, especially early on in the game when the team looked dangerous. He was doing a little bit of an impression of Silva, causing some chaos in the box.
He had for what he played, for the position he played at left wing, he was good. I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, that's not his natural position, obviously, but I think, and I mentioned this, I think last week, you have to find some way to get him on the field. And I think at this stage in time, this is the best way you could get Jay Fortune on the field, is at that left wing spot. You, of course, have Muscari. You, of course, have Brennan. And Brennan, I hope, will get more opportunities, period, as time goes on. But I agree, Tom. I think Jay was good. And I'd love to see more of him, more improvement for him, certainly. He, again, has come up with the team, come through the academy, come through the twos, now consistently affecting the first team. And, he's taken his opportunities as they've come. Obviously, he didn't set up to be a left winger, but that's just where he is right now. And good for him on embracing it so far. I imagine he'll be there again against Chicago, because I don't know if you abandon Almiron at the 10, Mirchuk at the 8 after one match, but I imagine he'll be back there again at the left wing against Chicago. Tyler, what did you think of him?
I thought he was pretty good. Again, like you said, everything y'all just said. I mean, he's out of, I want to say out of his position. He has played left wing before, coming up in the twos and everything else. It's not like he's a complete stranger to it. He did have a shot,
Sure.
Albeit not the best one. I mean, it was a header that he couldn't quite, get his body contorted right for. But he had the most successful tackles for Atlanta, which is saying something. And my thing though is, you need speed in your midfield right now. Click and Slish, if I could have them fuse together to become one player, I would love that. Because they both have pros and cons but you need one player to do what they both do.
Yeah.
Because you want to leave Alexi. This is for you, Omar. You want to leave Alexi on the pitch. Because I think at the number 8, again, if he can be more of that true box to box, like central midfielder, and you tell him, all I want you to do is progress the ball, look for, your attackers, and control the tempo of the game. And then you let Jay, who has the legs and the speed, who is working on his finesse as a defender, let him be that number 6, the true number 6 that sits in front of the back line.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of the work off of Alexi's shoulders, but it still puts Alexi in a place where he can be proactive in the attack. But then he doesn't have to pull every string either. Then you have Miggy in front of him, who, at least in the opposition half, that's his bread and butter. And then you have your wingers, put Luke Brennan over there on the left, because just let the guy play at this point. Let Luke play the left. You're not going to do any worse. I like Luke, right? Like he's a good dude. He's a hustler. He's going to go and play. He's going to give you a shift, and let everything else fall into place. Again, see what happens. You're not going to do any worse.
Agreed. But and let's just reverse it now. We've had 2 MLS players with Dax and Parkhurst that came on and said, I don't care what it is, Jay needs to play. He was one of our I mean, Dax said he was our best player at the end of the season. Parkhurst has obviously said how much he loves Jay and what he brings to this team. So what Ronnie do? He found a way to get him on the field. Maybe it's not in the midfield, but trying to get him out there to be able to do a spark. The spark did work for a little bit there. And like I said, for the rare that we've seen him on the left, there were a couple points early on where he ran into the box and was trying to cause, some chaos and set up a goal.
Yeah, and hopefully, again, we'll see more of Jay Fortune, more of that growth from him as he continues to, again, affect the first team. But Tommy, you said it, got to get him on the field, and yeah, you got him on the field. So hopefully more to come for Jay at the left wing slot or wherever he plays, except maybe goalkeeper. I don't know if he'll play goalkeeper, but
maybe not.
Maybe. Probably.
You know what else I got to give a shout out to?
Yes. Well, before we do that, let's do some housekeeping. ScarvesandSpikes.com, where you can find all of our word and content. Patreon.com/ScarvesandSpikes. 3 tiers, $1.70 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. unlock exclusive content, unlock access to our Discord channel as well. ScarvesandSpikes.com also has a link to our store, so definitely go there and support us by buying our merchandise. And as always, thanks to Sweetwater Brewing Company. Go to sweetwaterbrew.com for more information on their products and where to buy them. Thanks, Sweetwater Brewing Company, for their support of Scarves and Spikes. All right, continue.
Yes. Well, to piggyback on that, before I get into my other one,
yes.
Happy May the 4th.
Yes, it is May 4th.
There we go. I'm out of batteries here. All right. And I don't have enough room to back up with this thing.
Yeah, you can.
May the 4th be with you, everybody.
Yes.
Go watch Star Wars after this.
Yes.
No, Louisa Brahm. I got to give a shout out to Louisa Brahm. For all the criticism that guy's got, honestly, since he got here.
Yeah.
He can be so up and down, but he put in a pretty solid shift yesterday. But he had one moment that I think stood out to everybody because he got an ovation in the bins.
Yeah.
It was almost guaranteed to be a goal.
Mm-hmm.
He comes in, he wins the ball. Of course, it takes a deflection kind of out wide going towards the corner flag, and it was going to be a corner for Nashville. So not only does he win the duel, he then hustles and is able to slide and get a foot on it just to knock it out for a throw in to keep the corner from happening. And Nashville already had something like, was it 12? No, maybe 9 corners on the day.
Felt like a lot.
8. Okay, yeah, it was a lot. But we taught, and I don't remember what show it was on. It was recently. It may have been at the Signia before, but you know, you talk about the little wins inside, you know, especially your home stadium. It's not always just about scoring goals. Of course, that's what's going to get everybody on their feet, right? Like that's what you want to do. That's the whole point of the game. But we talk about showing heart, and it's moments like that as a defender. There's not much more that you can do to get, you know, a standing ovation from fans than just running your freaking rear end off and doing something like that. I mean, you go slide tackle somebody and take them out, win the ball, stuff like that. That's always going to get you some brownie points.
Yeah.
But the moment that, you know, we saw him yesterday kind of go in for that tackle, win the ball back, you know, send it out for a throw in as opposed to a corner, like it's little wins like that you need. But that's, if he could consistently show that and the entire team could consistently show that.
Well, things like that can rally the team.
That's what I'm saying. It stacks, right? It builds up and you know, you can draw a lot from it. It's little moral victories like that. And but yeah, I mean, again, let the praise be as loud as the criticism.
Yeah.
We've given him a lot of criticism. And trust me, when Alexi comes good, I'll give him all the praise in the world. But you know, there's moments like that I can appreciate, and I liked what I saw. So
and just quickly, I know Tony, you had something, but just quickly on Brahm, he gets criticized a lot, obviously because he's on a TAM contract and he's taking up a lot of money on the team roster at this current point in time. You know, do you move him not because he sucks, but do you move him and that, hey, you can see, hey, he's on a pretty good run of form right now, and knowing that, you know, he's under contract through the end of this year with an option, I believe, until 2026. I could have that wrong. I'm just fact checking right now. But yes, he does have the option for 2026. So he's out of team control after this season. Do you move him? Do you see if you can find a willing buyer to take him on, whether that be in Peru, whether it be in South America? Maybe there's a team looking for a starting quality number 11, certainly not a best 11, MLS best 11 center back, but a player that is of starting quality that can put in some decent shifts for you. Maybe you're an MLS team looking for that, willing to bring out a Brahm for what it counts to be maybe a tryout for the remainder of the season, and maybe think about signing him to a longer-term contract if he proves himself. Maybe that's a conversation you have, but again, to Brahm's point, to your point about Brahm, yeah, I think he did have a good shift for Atlanta United, and that's definitely one of the positives from the night. Not a loss, but a night where you wish you would have gotten 3 points.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, at this point, you assess where you are in the season. If anybody's willing to take him on, sure. If not, you can just release him at the end of the year, so it's not a big deal. But Tyler, that was actually my my other positive. I didn't get to listen to the game. I actually went out and watched the game at a bar because it was on Fox, which was nice. But I wasn't able to hear it, so it's awesome that the crowd, gave him that, because there was a lot of effort by him at the end, and that was I mean, I would say that it would have been very likely a goal in that situation. They had a runner coming. It looked real dangerous. So yeah, absolutely, a very good, especially end of the game for him.
He had. I was just curious. So he had on FOTMob, he had a 7 even. Highest rated he's had since the Dallas game. He had a 7.3, and then before that, going all the way back to the Miami series, the playoffs. So he's consistently averaged around 6.5 for Atlanta, but when a defender is getting 7s and above, that's usually a pretty good sign.
Who had the highest score on FOTMob? Was it Miggy? I bet it was Miggy because he scored. I imagine it was him.
Actually, let's see. Yeah, he had a 7.5. Oh no!
Okay.
Oh man, this is about to get some people really in the chat. Go ahead and warm up your fingers. It was not Miggy. Who do y'all think it was?
It wasn't Miranchuk, was it?
Nope.
Was it was it Cleek?
Brooks.
Brooks. Because of the assist.
But I see the crap that he's gotten on social media in the past 24 hours. He got a 7.8.
And I don't know if that's deserved, to be fair. I mean, yes, congrats on the assist, quote unquote, 40th, putting him all-time #1 in MLS or Atlanta United history. But it's just, Tyler, you and I were up there with Henry and Jackson. Just frustrating performance for Brooks. It really was. I mean, just misplaced passes. It started off well, but like with the rest of the team, just tailed off. Yeah, it just tailed off. Yeah. Misplaced passes, aimless crosses, just poor defending. It's just the worst of Brooks, that we've seen. Let me rephrase that. His worst qualities came to the forefront. And, he's one of those players that has been up and down, up and down. Of course, had that career season a number of years ago, but has never been able to really find that form. And we've been talking about, hey, maybe he can put himself in the national team conversation. That's long gone. Just focus on improving yourself. Focus on getting better. But yeah, just I was disappointed with Brooks outside of the assist.
I think he needs more consistency, and like
exactly.
I say consistency, and then in the next sentence I'll be like, I want you to be a little more unpredictable. I just want you to be a little more consistently unpredictable. We can sit here and beat the dead horse about people's opinions on his crosses and things like that. I mean, at the end of the day, he and Latte Laf need to go and lock themselves on the pitch at the training ground until they figure out where each other's going to be at any given time. Just like him and Giacomakis did.
Yeah.
But yeah, he got the highest rating. Miggy was a 7.5, so he was the next highest. The one after him, there was a 2-way tie, and it was Jay Fortune and Pedro Amador.
Yeah. Amador's okay.
Yeah,
Pedro's okay.
Then it was Miranchuk and Guzman.
I went 2024 Amador. I went 2024 Amador.
Yeah.
Those are good times.
I think, I think
wild times.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't going to average an assist a game. Like, there was no way that was going to be consistent. But I'd like to see a little bit more of him. But that left side is a mess, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Pedro, when he came in, obviously was a terrific form. Just he hasn't been terrible. Had some key defensive plays throughout the match, but from an attacking standpoint, hasn't been nearly to the quality he was at the end of last season. And he has a lot to live up. He has a lot to live up to, but hopefully he can recapture that form. Again, that's not to say he's a terrible player, but hopefully he can recapture the form that he enjoyed toward the second half of the season. A few weeks after he got out here, a few weeks I might add. That started with him getting clobbered by Gretzky's end. So maybe we need a reenactment with that on the pitch. or somewhere on the training ground or the or an actual game. What else? Anything we are missing? Like any other positives we saw from the match? No? Quiet. A
Dylan
lot of
pointed out
quiet.
that Amador was involved in the goal.
Yeah.
True statement. True statement.
Yeah. So yeah, any other positives from the match? Do you guys think? It's a lot of silence. I don't know if you guys.
I mean, the
think of anything
positive
here.
is that you didn't lose. I mean, you got a point, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if you can use this as like a weird jumping off point to go and play even better next time, like do it. Wherever you can pull that extra
Yeah.
motivation from, just go and just give us 90 minutes
Yeah.
of good soccer. Of if you don't win, you don't win, but give 90 minutes of just leaving it all out there. That's all I want to see. That's all I want to see. 25
seen it
minutes here
yet.
and there or a half here and there is cool, but it's clearly not enough to win you games. Give me 90 minutes of just playing for the freaking badge or whatever it
Yeah.
is that you're motivated by.
Yeah.
And yeah, no one was injured.
Yeah. Pedro, was able to finish the match. So good to see that. Good to see that. Tommy, any other positives from you? No.
He's done.
Okay.
Oh,
Tommy
sorry.
has no more positives. Oh, there he is.
Just pulled
Tony,
into
you're
the
late to the party.
driveway. Finally got home from my second ride to
Welcome
Columbus in
home.
a week. I mean, you didn't get burned by chances. I mean, it feels like every mistake that we've made over the past couple weeks, you've been burned on. And you did make some mistakes, especially in the second half, and you didn't get burned on a lot of them. And that's, I mean, that's more of a luck thing, but it seems like the luck for Atlanta United has been real in the dumps for quite some
Yeah.
time. Even before the road trip. I mean, the New England game, you had all the luck going against you. Post,
Yeah.
crossbar, block.
Don't talk to me about posts and crossbars.
I mean, it's you at least were able to not get burned by that, and that's nice. But if there's a guy out there that's got the most pressure on him, it's not Garth Lagerwey. I think it's Chris Henderson. Like Chris Henderson hasn't had his chance to hasn't had a chance to really put his stamp on the roster. He came in real late. I'm interested to know what he's looking at with this team and saying, how do I make this team better? How do I make this team better
Well, he
long
was in
term?
Barcelona a couple of weeks ago, so who knows what he was doing out there.
Maybe you can get the discovery rights for De Bruyne from Chicago.
How about Yamal?
Kevin De Bruyne. That's funny. You're a funny guy, Tyler.
I do what I can. Hey, shoot for the stars, right?
Hey, what's the worst they could say? No,
Exactly.
right? No, my positive is we kind of joke and say they didn't lose, but they didn't lose. But that's the problem. You don't need them to not lose. You just need them to win. And again, so just looking at the standings right now, you're 6 points out of the playoff spot, 11 matches in. That New England, who have all of a sudden, guys, have caught fire. I think 3 in a row, 3 straight on the bounce for the Revs. 4
After
straight.
playing what team?
Yeah, exactly. TFC, which is whatever. But they're sticking with together. They're 9th right now with a match in hand, 6 points ahead of Atlanta. And then you have Chicago on 13 points. So it's not a 6-pointer, but essentially it amounts to a 6-pointer because you don't want to lose, obviously, to Chicago, a team that have really they still kind of fallen apart of the seams, kind of part of the seams for Chicago. You're very, very fortunate to not have lost against Orlando City, but at the same time, this is a team that's kind of desperate themselves. They're winners over the last 6 after winning 3 of their first 5 games and going on a 3-game winning streak, I should say. So they're desperate to get their season back on track. Atlanta's desperate for anything at this point, and I would hope that they're. I say this all the time, but I would hope that their up for the challenge, because maybe, like Tyler, you said, maybe you could look at the match and say, hey, yeah, we drew. We didn't lose, which is, yeah, again, you don't want to, you need 3 points, but maybe
Yeah,
this
I mean,
is,
they've got to start doing something at some point.
yeah,
Like it's gotta you gotta get a move on. You gotta
yeah,
make something happen.
exactly. We're already 11 matches through the season for just about every team. So, you know, hopefully, like you said, Tyler, the draw can be maybe a mini spark. Maybe you could get the best of Chicago's backup goalkeeper. I'm not sure who that is, but hopefully no repeats of Rocco Rios Nova or anything like that.
Don't
But yeah, put it all together. 90 minutes against Chicago, nothing less than that. Bragazan could be playing his final match in Chicago, his hometown. So maybe that adds a little bit more urgency or a little more special to the proceedings. So
Tommy, you look like
vamos.
you're on like 2003 E-Bombs world right now.
I don't know what that means.
You're very grainy. World
Oh,
star.
I am?
Here we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We'll wait for Tony to get that sorted.
Oh, now you're locked in place. Now you're frozen and grainy.
Yeah.
This is even worse. Oh, there we go. You're better now.
There you go.
Kind of.
Perfect.
I connected to the Wi-Fi. Whatever.
Yes, much better.
Oh, there you go.
Now
You figured it out.
I'm back, baby.
Cool. Don't say
Now
that.
you're speaking like a dubbed Japanese anime.
Oh,
Sounds coming through, and then your voice moves.
oh, I'm
There you go.
sorry.
You're good.
Oh, okay.
We got you.
Oh, there you go.
We
All right,
got
you're
now.
perfect now.
Perfect. Any final thoughts? Gentlemen?
No, we're going to be talking about MLS tomorrow on MLS Monday, and then at Osiris. Yes, we gave Jay Fortune a whole thing.
How did by the way, how did Sporting Kansas City beat the Galaxy 1-0 without the benefit of the shot and goal?
Own goal, baby. Own goal.
Well, yeah, I know that,
That
but
was
I just
the drunk
that's more
uncle
rhetorical.
match of the week.
Rhetorical.
That one was always
really drunk. It wasn't really drunk, judging by the stats. But yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll mention that. We'll mention I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Greg Vanny is fired by the end of the day on Monday. So we'll talk about that. I'm not saying it's a good decision, but maybe we'll see. Austin, we'll talk about them, I'm sure, because Atlanta takes them on here in the next week, I should say. Philadelphia won again against Montreal. Vancouver won once again. So a lot of things.
Columbus played a fun game yesterday.
They did.
Montreal is still yet to win a game.
Yep.
At all.
San Diego just beat the brakes off of FC Dallas. So, yeah, a lot to talk about on Monday, MLS Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then the regular Wednesday show, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So,
Colonel, it's Guzan's last game in Chicago, playing physically in Chicago. I think that's what Sydney was trying to reference to there.
Yes.
And
we got there eventually.
Yeah, yes. we were getting there.
Yes.
I do want to see how this team reacts to the changes, because like I think Omar was saying in the chat earlier, is that he said that that's not what he told these guys to do. He didn't tell them to bunker. He didn't want them to do this. So when you hear a manager say things on the line of like, I told them to do this and they didn't do it, questions are going to start coming up. Why aren't they listening to their coach?
Yeah.
Those are the concerning things. Like when positive or negative, the coach will take, and that's one thing. Ronnie D takes a lot. Like he puts it on himself. He doesn't usually go off on the players. But I mean, he made the comment like, I didn't do that. I didn't tell them to do that,
Right.
and they still did it. And that just when you hear things like that, those are alarm bells ringing through. Like why aren't they listening? Why aren't they doing what they were supposed to? You had the entire half to talk about what you were going to do for the next 45 minutes, and I'm sure he didn't say, "Come on, just keep the ball away from him."
Yeah.
Like if he's saying that that's not what he told them, and they still did it, there's a problem there, and he's got to get that figured out. And
Well, you talk about
Yeah.
the transfer window, Sydney. He did make the comment a few weeks ago, players that aren't here to play or aren't here to do what they're supposed to do, those players will get moved out. So this transfer window is the first one with Chris at the helm. Could we see a lot of movement? Could we see a shocking guy that's got signed here long term over the last couple of years move out? To be continued, I guess.
TBD.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, what are your final thoughts?
I think we can sit here and, go over all the problems, all the issues, but you really do have to take any kind of positive where you can get it from. And again, I know it's like a 1-1 draw sucks at home, especially considering, the way that it went down, but you did finally break your scoreless streak. You've got to build on something. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You got to build on something. So go back to the drawing board, keep building the chemistry. And I think there needs to be a handful of things, directives from Ronnie Dyla that come down and say, hey, in these moments, this is what we're going to do, period. If you don't, I'm snatching you out of the game. Like it can't go on to where you've got guys that look like they have no idea what's going on when they control it or when they're in a lead in a game, right? Like you have to nip this right now because you could go on after this and have a handful of games where you win or you draw or you go up and you're trying to hold on and get one of those gritty wins like Parkhurst talked about last week. But if you play like you did after you scored this goal, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. So I think Dyla has to have some pretty serious conversations with the players and say, hey, if we weren't on the same page before, we're going to be now. And I don't ever want to see this kind of stuff again. So, but yeah, you've got to build on it. You got to take the pros where you can get them, take the positives where you can get them, and go forward and just keep building on it week after week. Hopefully last week was rock bottom. I hope.
You've kind of dug up just a little bit. You're not quite out of the hole yet. You have a long way to go. But yeah, back here for MLS Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Back here for our regular Wednesday show, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, we have Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Like, subscribe, share our content on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Again, scarfsandspikes.com for our written content. Patreon.com/scarfsandspikes. $1.17 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. And again, as always, we appreciate Sweetwater Brewing Company, their support of Scarves and Spikes. Go to sweetwaterbrew.com.
May the fourth be with you.
May the fourth be with you.
And also with you, my Vader.
See if this works.
It's like it doesn't quite know what to do there.
Really like Luke. Point the thing right at my eyeball and then turn it on. A hole in your head, young Skywalker.
Oh, I'm back. Am I back?
I didn't know you went anywhere.
I got disconnected. I didn't see anything, and then the music came back, and it came back real slow. It was our song, but in slow motion, and it scared the hell out of me. I thought it was like when you watch those movies, and all of a sudden, like a guy like blacks out, and everything gets like slow music, and then you find out you're in an alternate universe. I thought I teleported.
How many gummies have you had?
Dude, I just drove 2 hours. There's no gummies involved in especially in a rainstorm and podcasting at the same time. Don't do that. Any new drivers?
No, that's not fun.
Hopefully our intern's not listening because when he gets his license, don't do what I do.
True.
I feel like that's a common rule of thumb anyway.
You would think.
When you're talented like Tommy, you
don't do what Tommy does.
Hey,
go watch Andor. It's good.
I'm done with that world. Go see Thunderbolts instead.
I do want to see that. We're going to see that next weekend for Zane's birthday.
The banger. See you guys.